Hello, everyone. This is Warhawk Beyond 2040, and welcome to another edition of the X-Men 97 review series. And today we are going to be talking about episode 2, Mutant Liberation Begins. And we are joined once again with the one and only, the badass himself, Rex the Boss 11. Rex, great to have you back here again. How are you doing?
Once again, I am doing very well. Hey guys, how's it going? Let's talk about X-Men 97, episode 2.
Okay, so X-Men 97, episode 2, Mutant Liberation Begins. This was a great follow-up to episode 1, I think. I think this was a really good episode, and this had quite a bit of a mind-blowing ending, I think. I mean, what was your thoughts on this episode? We're going to start with you first.
Yeah, I enjoyed this episode. It was a bit like you obviously you need to watch the next episode to like get a synopsis of what's going on, because they're obviously leaving these episodes on cliffhangers. I will point out that yes, there is a slight change in the intro. Yes, there is a slight change in the previously on X-Men. I don't think we're getting it from the same person like we used to do back in the day. Those things I didn't mention in the first episode, but these are obviously things that I have become now aware of in episode 2. As for this episode, you get to see more characters this time around. You get to see more people who are involved with the X-Men, and obviously in their team, you get in a formation of what this modern team of this time, of the current time, is in the X-Men. Obviously, Cyclops not happy about Magneto coming in and basically taking over, which is something that even to me sounds weird saying that. Because,
Yeah, I know.
to be honest, he obviously is the main villain in the whole time of the X-Men. I can't get that feeling out of my head. Even in the films, TV, he has always been the guy that, as much as he can help them, he is 95% sure when you say, oh, which side is he on? There's no confusion. He's probably not going to be on your side.
No.
If you're an X-Men or if you're a human. So if you're not part of the Brotherhood of Mankind, he's not on your side.
No, definitely not.
Simple. It's very rare that he would. But yeah, for him to take over in that role, obviously there is bits that are coming, which obviously I had no idea about. Obviously things that are going to involve obviously him and Rogue and Gambit.
Yeah, I did not see that coming.
But I had no idea about those things there, which of course that got me completely intrigued. Like normally I'd make a bit of a critical statement about, do we really need a love triangle inside of this second episode of the X-Men and leading into the rest of the series? But, you know, to be fair, yes, we do. Because it's type of thing that we had with Jean and Logan. Yeah, Logan, and obviously with Scott. And because, you know, you got to remember as well, when I'm saying that, the realistic thing is that I've always been taught as a fan of the X-Men is that Logan is in love with Jean and Scott and Jean are in love with each other. This is the first time really where I've kind of seen, you know, the Jean Grey is in love with Cyclops. So obviously it's obvious that that's it. But you have to understand that in the original series, it was always kind of shown that the sort of Wolverine character could separate his feelings for Jean and like work with Scott and the team. But as Logan, he hated Scott. Even in the films, he obviously hates and despises and jealous of Scott. But yeah, we're getting all these things. We're getting sniffs of all these things, random things involving Jean. There's a slight suggestion, of course, that Morph has got some kind of crush or he is in love with Wolverine. And you start to see a few glimpses of this. Morph, as I always wanted him to do, is randomly changing into random characters who have got nothing to do with any of the things, because he can obviously transform briefly and momentarily into certain people. It's like, what's this guy doing? Like, that's not helping. You know what I mean? Like honestly, no, but I do like him. I like him more because it's entertainment central. And he's obviously supposed to be a comic character way more than the depressive, because I actually hated Morph in the original X-Men series. He was so annoying. I didn't get anxiety and depression and all that then like I get it now. But yeah, overall, this was a really solid episode. And like, you just know, you knew in the first episode, right, I'm going to watch the next episode. I feel like you're already very close to saying, yeah, I'm probably going to stick around for the majority of this now. Even if you've never watched any of the X-Men series in the past or anything like that, that you can safely say that you would definitely, you know, tune in next week. I enjoyed what I was seeing here. And just the fact that I can remember that much off the top of my head from this episode or around the first early episodes goes to show how, Warhawk, how much that I must have been able to have absorbed and enjoyed what I was watching, because it is moving so quickly. And so, that the pace of this program is set at a hyper speed compared to the original series. Like they don't do redo animations here. There's no redone animations here. There's no overuses of certain clips and certain stills. None of that is here. Like they just did full animation here. I will say as well, I like the fact that Rogue is completely insanely overpowered in this.
Yes.
Like her powers, like I always question from the original series, why is she thinking when she is clearly like a super Cyan X-Men, like top level X-Men character, and she can fly. She can fly, she can fight, and she can crow, and she's got mad powers. She can take your powers, use your powers, absorb your power. It's mad. She's almost like Bishop and a few of us all like combined into one, and she can fly.
Yeah, that's a big improvement they've done with Rogue in this series compared to
By
the
the way,
original.
as well, because I forgot to mention this in the first episode, yes, Cyclops, he's not flying. He can just survive falls from high drops because, of course, he has the optic eyes. Similar way where Wolverine, if he was to fall from high, his adamantium skeleton wouldn't break, but he'd probably use his claws to sort of stop his fall. Do you know what I mean? Like slow down the fall. That's what he's doing. Morph, of course, can fly temporarily because he can get wings. He can turn into a character like Archangel as he does at some point. And he can fly. Various questions that we didn't cover in the first episode. So now here we are. I just thought of these now. These things, because Morph, like I say, is changing into random characters that have got nothing to do and they're not helpful, but they are these little subtle signs. Questions are being answered of, well, Morph can fly, Rogue can fly, Storm can fly, so they've got to be able to hold up the rest of the group. But then, of course, Wolverine can fall from height anyway, and Cyclops can stop himself from falling. So less people need to be held up. Like in the original series, I'm not sure what was going on, but it felt like if anyone fell, they'd have to be saved by either Nightcrawler, who I don't know if he's even come into this yet, Nightcrawler, Rogue, or Storm had to save them.
Yeah, it was.
Or sometimes Jean could use the circle thing, the protection thing.
With this episode, for me, this episode mostly concentrated on Magneto trying to win the trust of the public and, of course, trying to win over the X-Men. And, of course, no one's buying it, which is understandable because look who it is. And Rogue and Magneto having this romance was quite mind-blowing because it's definitely something you would never have envisioned in the original series. And like you said earlier,
absolutely at all. Like I had no idea. I was like, for a second, I thought this was a weird stepdad type of thing because, of course, Mystique is her mom. Yeah. I'm even getting that vibe now. We have been programmed in from day one that, of course, Mystique, there's no real way of declaring whether she's a 30 or, the woman that I remember her being in the comic books and the cartoons, I'd say she's like Eric and Charles's age, 60, 70 years old at this point in the series, at least, yeah. But yeah, like we see, even to an extent, like the modern Mystique, he treats her like a daughter, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So Rogue would be his granddaughter then. This is weird to see. It's weird to see from my angle of not knowing anything apart from his relationship with her mom.
And also with their whole relationship, as you said earlier, it's kind of nice to see a different love triangle because the whole Jean Grey, Scott Summers, Logan love triangle got done to death in the last series. So it's kind of good that that's taken a bit of a backseat now, and we got this going on because Gambit's awesome, and
at the same time there is actually a second love triangle that is of course developing in the background slowly and will of course be revealed by I think the end of this episode, which is of course the where Cable comes from, the whole Jean and that thing. But regardless from that, I think I like this Magneto, Rogue and Gambit thing because it's weird.
It's unusual.
He's the only guy who can touch her. So yeah, you can see where this, and he's the guy of magnets. So it's like the magnetism, what they're trying to teach you. So all of that I can buy into. That weird, but then I'm on top of it. I can't get that feeling in my throat of, yeah, but am I supposed to block out all of the other stuff, which is he was very like this with her mum, and he said that her mum was too young. And now
Yeah.
what, 20 years, 30 years later, when he's the grey-haired version of Magnus, wait, now all of a sudden, 20 years later, 30 years, 40 years later, he's now in a sexual relationship with Mystique's daughter, Rogue. You know where I'm coming from? It does come across as a bit weird.
It
Now,
is weird.
I imagine that they can't show this bit, but of course, it's supposed to more be she probably does a lot more to pursue him because he can touch her like nobody else can, whereas he's going to be able to touch people his whole life. So touching, whether she's a full-grown woman or not, all the weirdness for him, she's not going to feel that because she's just going to just block out because he's the only person who can touch her. You know what I mean?
That's right. I did feel a bit bad for Gambit because he tried so long to get with her, and it looked like they were together when you start this series, but then Magneto walks in and just completely just changes everything. So I did feel a bit bad for him, but I think adding that soap opera sort of element, the love triangle thing, I welcomed it because normally when you have a love triangle in a cartoon, you think, oh, this could be good or bad, but I think this worked. And I think what they did was they didn't show you too much. They showed you a little bit and then left you wondering what's going to happen next. So I think they did a pretty good job with the love triangle thing, and it's definitely got you more hooked into seeing the series, I think. But the question that everyone asked throughout this episode, can Magneto be trusted? That's the big question. I mean, what do you think?
I think the problem is because, like I said before, it's a three-way dance, isn't it? Constantly, he's
Yeah.
never going to trust the humans. He's never going to work alongside the humans. And of course, the moment that the humans get the opportunity to work alongside the X-Men, the
Yeah, we
humans
all know.
can't help themselves. So it's
Yeah.
like I'm never on the human side. And I'm just going to be honest with you, I am not. I'm too alien in my own brain. I am a brotherhood of mankind, X-Men. I'd love to
Yeah.
say that I am Wolverine, like that type of X-Men, but no, I couldn't hang around with all that theory of let's work alongside the people that absolutely truly hate us. I would be like, and I'm just gonna throw it out there, I would be probably Sabretooth, or I would be one of the standalone sort of Apocalypse. And then people say, "Oh, of course you'd be Apocalypse." Well, yeah. But I'd be one of the standalone elsewhere characters.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the ones that are not even on Earth. I'd be a different type of character. I could not be on the X-Men team knowing that they are openly always trying to work in harmony with the people that absolutely hate them. That'd be like where I come from and the police, you know what I mean? To a certain extent, like people that where I come from, they don't like the police. They certainly wouldn't try to work in tandem with them.
No. And also in this episode, we do actually see Jean go into labor, and we actually see her give birth to a baby boy who we all know is going to grow up to be Cable. So this was a moment that we all kind of knew this was coming. This is what they've been building up to, and like you said in the last review that we did, it's all happening for a reason, and it's all going to take you on this trip of where this is all heading. So I thought they did a good job of that. I mean, what was your thoughts on Jean giving birth to Cable?
What is it, Gene?
Yeah. Oh well.
Is it Gene? That's the question you have to ask. Is that a spoiler or is that a question? Is it Gene that gave birth to Cable? Because that's something that the comic books would have you think different. And to be fair, with the way that the episode ended, there has to be some questions of who is who here and whose side is who on. There's lots of that going on right now, which I expect from any sort of comic book program. But the difference is this Gene?
Which we will get
That's
into in a moment.
that's the question that you have to ask yourself. The question of, as soon as you see what you see at the end of the episode, you have to then rewind. I think for like 5 series to the bit where they're in the Savage Lands, where did this take place? Where did all this happen? And obviously, I think that they want you to believe that potentially this is not actually Jean Grey, and it never has been Jean Grey, or maybe it has been Jean Grey for the whole time, but the woman that we knew from the original series isn't Jean Grey.
No, we will get to that in a moment. Now, there was an interesting moment that happened where the executioner blasted Storm after she basically takes the hit from Magneto, and this
Yeah,
results in Storm losing her powers. Now, this was something that I never really expected to see. Storm of all people losing her powers. Because wasn't there a line she said somewhere that she wished she could be human for one day?
yeah, she begged for that. Obviously, talks about the like not being human, being a goddess, obviously, and
That's
like
right.
our people sort of assume that being like that, yeah, that you would never want to be human.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then she does often. I think she says something like, in her way she speaks. She does often wonder what it would be like to be human without powers, without feeling the wind, without feeling the elements and stuff like that. And yeah, I think she's gonna get her wish or her.
Or just not the way she wanted. And we actually see Storm leave the team after Beast confirms that the blast permanently depowered
I,
her.
I think what she was meaning naturally was she would love to know what it feels like, but not
Yeah.
forever.
No,
And then,
maybe just
of
for like
course,
one day.
at this stage now, where she's blasted there, but then, of course, like I just said before, um, like Magneto seeing that. So you're trying to teach him that he's the bad person and he needs to be tamed and he needs to be stopped and he needs to be this. And he stands there and watches a woman that he knows is one of the most powerful mutants, that he himself cannot tame her in any way, shape, or form. And to be fair, she could kill him just by electrocuting him with lightning when he's doing his magnet stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and he knows how powerful she is. She's an alpha level mutant, just like he is, and he's
Totally.
seeing her reduced to that, like a timid, fragile female that she's never ever supposed to feel like, because that's not what she is. She's a goddess. She is a god, and obviously that's the thing that he wants the human people to understand in that world. But of course, they're never going to understand that, are they? Because they don't want anyone who single-handedly can be more powerful than
Yeah.
them and their weapons of mass destruction or whatever.
Now, as we get towards the end of this episode, we see the X-Men are surprised by the arrival of Jean Grey. Now, this is where things really got interesting. Just like in the first episode, Magneto arrived and declared that Charles has left him control of the X-Men. This moment where we see a woman claiming to be Jean Grey looks exactly like her. This actually made my jaw drop. I just thought, what the hell's going on here? I mean, what was your thoughts on the ending?
Well, naturally, I thought, oh, wait, what's going on here? Like,
Yeah,
because obviously, obviously I know the Cable origin, because obviously I've always
yeah,
been intrigued with the Cable character anyway. And I was annoyed that Cable never got into the actual X-Men like films. It's obviously something that they obviously wanted to do at some point in the old animated series, and now it's like bang, we're getting into it now.
yeah,
Morphs. I once again, and I'll say this throughout, Morphs changing into random characters. I've got no idea what's going on with him changing
yeah.
into random characters, but luckily at the door, he was the one who obviously got given this part here, because yeah, when she comes in, I was a bit like, so which one? Who? Not for the first time ever. Not whose side are they on? It's well, who's the real one then?
Yeah.
And the next episode, obviously, we will find that, and that's obviously going to lead me to give this. I'm going to give this another solid 9 out of 10 rating. I think it could have been worse.
Mm,
The cliffhangers are definitely helping, because you're now like, oh yeah. But
yeah.
this episode was solid. The storm shooting, the getting Magnus even on the stand, and then proving without a shadow of a doubt that we cannot trust the humankind.
No. No, I would definitely give this a 9 out of 10 as well. This was really good. I thought this was a great, strong continuation from episode one. And, the surprise at the end with the clone showing up, claiming to be Jean Grey. I thought that was a really good way to reel you in and really makes you want to watch episode 3. So yeah, definitely going with a 9 out of 10. I think so far, 2 episodes in, the momentum, is really strong, and they're really doing a good job keeping it going. So that's going to be it from us. We are going to wrap this up now. What was your thoughts on episode 2, Mutant Liberation Begins? Did you enjoy it? How do you feel about Storm leaving the team after being depowered? Do you think she could come back? How do you think she's going to get her powers restored? What do you think about Magneto trying to win everyone's trust by saving people? Do you think he can be trusted? And also, what was your thoughts on the ending with this woman claiming to be Jean Grey? Is she the real Jean Grey? And where do you think this could have happened if you're looking at it from both points of views of the original series and this series? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and we will see all of you next time for another edition of the X-Men 97 review series, where we are going to be talking about episode 3. Rex, pleasure as always. Great having you here.
Yeah, nice one for having me, and we'll see you in the next episode, guys. Peace out.
Bye for now, guys.